Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closers Show, and it's a very special Monday here in Austin, Texas. We are starting a regular tradition each month with the third Monday being a Marketing Monday. Yay, we have Money Mondays on the first Monday with Quest. Well, we're excited to have the third Monday be marketing, all about marketing, with an amazing couple of people doing some rocking jobs. Rocking in the RV all across the country, helping people take care of things out there. So we are joined live with the brain power of serving social, Kristie and Elijah Whites. Good morning, y'all. How y'all doing this Monday morning?
Good morning. We're good.
Yeah?
Drinking some coffee, trying to not get burned up in this heat.
Oh yeah, we're like in a tin can, and it's supposed to be like 104 today. So like all AC units are like on maximum blast.
Right. Hey, if you need an extra spot to land for a day, you're more welcome to hang out in the AC of our offices if you need to.
We might actually have to do that if it gets any hotter than what it's supposed to be this week. But no, we loved it. This morning we woke up and there was a field of bunnies hopping around back behind the RV. So that's kind of fun. Drink your coffee, watch the bunnies.
Is that what's for dinner tonight, Elijah? Roasted bunny?
No. I actually found more enjoyment of watching the dog hate the bunnies outside.
Nice.
But yeah.
Oh, my dog didn't get the concept of there's a window there and you can't she thought when she jumped down, she would just go and get them. She forgot she was in an RV.
Very good. Good stuff. Well, hey, we are excited. It's hard to believe, though, that we are literally just over 60 days out from the next Note Camp 6 taking place. And you guys have been speakers in the last 2, 4, and 5, and two of the highest ranked speakers. Everybody loves your stuff. You've also become a staple at the masterminds and coming out and sharing some great stuff. So that's when we, and also our cohorts in crime for the National Social Media Day, 26.5-hour live stream craziness that we did 3 weeks ago, right?
So crazy, but it's so much fun.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. A lot of great info that came off that. Even like stuff that I didn't even know. It's great to listen to the experts. So anyway, there's a lot of good stuff.
That's why you bring in the experts to talk about all these topics, or even topics that you don't think that you would talk about. The practical application of stuff, but then also deep thought in concepts of mental health and concepts of just different things. I loved it.
Yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed it immensely. Got some great stuff. Looking forward to all the replay videos. I know that you guys have been working hard on it, on the replay videos, and we're jacked up because I think we've gone over 100,000 views on the actual page.
Yeah.
We've been taking data tips from her video and going back and optimizing all our YouTube videos. So it's actually been very helpful for us.
Yeah, definitely. Dana Garrison rocked on both of her sessions, so I was excited about that. I actually got those transcribed and actually just got the transcription back, so I'm going to send it over to you guys as well. But
yes.
So many good things, and that's the thing. I think people fail to realize that you guys and me, we're always constantly learning new tricks. We're always constantly learning on new things to help better our business. Even though you guys you're teaching this to entrepreneurs across the country, you never stop learning because the technology never stops evolving, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's constantly things are changing. The networks are changing. People's mentality are changing. The way they search for things, what they like and what they don't like. I mean, you hear stuff like trends all the time. And there are so many trends online that, as a small business, sometimes you can get lost in the trends instead of actually having a foundation that you're building on. So when the trends come through, you ride the trend out, but you don't base your entire marketing on the trend because, well, it is what it is. It's just a trend. It's a fad. It goes away, or the algorithms change, or Facebook or one of the other social networks decides, hey, you know what? We just don't like that anymore. It's not generating what we need, and they just do away with it, or they change it up.
Just last week, there was major announcements for basically every social network. They had new updates that dropped. They had new features that are now available. We're having to take time out, not only as business owners for our own business to do it, but also as individuals. What do I need to learn now? Like Instagram's IGTV. So now you can upload a whole 1-hour video to Instagram television. And if any of these changes aren't telling you anything, it's all video. It's all television.
Yep.
It's all, we want to watch it versus read it.
Yep.
which we all heard a couple months ago when you and I were, when Kristie and I were at Digital Marketer Traffic Conversion, something from Casey Smith, Macy Smith, whatever. Mari, sorry, yeah.
Mari.
Little jet lag, 3 hours of sleep last night from traveling in. So, yes.
I know how you do that.
So let's talk about those things. So I know the people I talk to are like, oh my God, it's overwhelming. Everywhere I go, people are like, oh my God, you're killing it. You're doing amazing stuff in market, online and marketing. I'm like, it's not really a lot of stuff that I'm doing. I'm just getting it out there. You know what I mean?
You're consistent. Scott, I mean, that's the one thing that you really kill it on. And I think that's what blows people's mind is the consistency. Like there's nothing more gratifying than spending a whole week and just getting a week's worth of postings out. And then the next week comes around and you're like, okay, I need to do that. But then you have, the day just keeps on building up. And here you are 3 weeks later and you're like, okay, I'm going to do another posting today. Well, that's not good enough. Like what you do really well is you're consistent. You're always out there. People know that, hey, if I refer somebody to your channel, you're going to be on there putting out content on a regular basis all the time. And that's what a lot of businesses miss out on is that they're not being consistent with their content. And I think a lot of times that is that one, they just don't know what to put out there. Content can be very vague. And so I think, when it comes down to it, I mean, if you can really figure out the type of content you put out, and you clearly have your note closer show, that right there allows you to be consistent.
Yeah. I mean, it's all confusing and everybody's like listening to what their friend told them worked for them. And so they're like, I need to do this too. And then you become overwhelmed with all the things you think you need to do before you've actually really figured out anything. And I'll just jump right in with number one on the thing that you need to know before you're going to do anything is to know thyself, know yourself. Like you've built a brand. It's like literally on your wall right behind you, Scott. We Close Notes. It has colors. It has an identity. It has something that people can relate to. When you're asked, what is We Close Notes? You can answer it without having to think about it because it's what you're living and breathing. That's what I think a lot of people are missing when they're marketing is that there's no clear identity of who they are or who their business is and what it's trying to accomplish and how to present it. Like that could be taken back to branding 101 in trying to figure out who you are and what you're doing. It's fine to test things out. Like, hey, does this piece of content work? Hey, does this hashtag work? That's great. But if you don't have a core, like that center of everything of who you are, what you look like, and how you're going to speak, then you're kind of a little bit of everywhere. And it's harder for people to jump on board with who you are and what you're doing. Because if you don't know, how do you expect them to figure it out?
Yeah, it was funny because we just got back from 3 days in Michigan. We flew up Thursday night and spent 3 days driving around all of Michigan looking at like 51 assets. And in the airport, I made it a habit of wearing my black polo that's got my podcast thing on it, the Note Closer Show podcast. Okay. And then I wore another shirt that had another logo. Well, I probably have, I'm not joking, it's kind of funny. I had no less than 30 people throughout the weekend. Hey, what's your podcast about? What's you got a podcast? What is, and I was like, whoa. Okay. And then today too. So it's, 7 o'clock in the morning in the airport. I'm walking down, actually Steph's in line at Chick-fil-A and DFW to get something. I'm just standing there. I hear a guy go, Scott. I'm like, huh? I see this guy waving at me. I was like, man, that guy looks familiar. I'm like, oh my God, it's a guy I worked with at the grist mill 20 plus years ago. Big Paul Cohen, and he's in Dallas, just, basically getting ready to fly out to El Paso. And we talked for like 5 minutes. He's like, hey man, I keep up with all your note stuff that you do on your podcast and your videos that you do. And he started rattling questions. It was like, no, how's it going? What are you doing? Married, kids, and all that. He went straight to the thing about, are you buying? Are you just educating? And it was just funny. But that's, I think a lot of I think you hit the nail directly on the head. And Elijah, I think you probably remember Henry Kaminsky from Unique Designs. Mm-hmm. Talked about this on National Social Media Day about knowing your brand. Be who you are, live it, embrace it, be who you are. Don't be somebody else, right? Mm-hmm. And Kristie, you said that a minute ago too about everybody. Oh, my friend did AdWords. My friend did Google Plus. Just figure out where your client is and go from there, right?
Yes, and that's the. So I know it can be very hard to try to figure out who you are, especially because it's yourself, right? You're not the one on the outside of it looking in. So you can't read the label when you're inside the bottle, right? And so with serving social, we even had trouble trying to figure out, like, how do we project ourselves out there? Like, we hate being called a marketing company, like, or we're a marketing agency, because how we do marketing is completely different. And so that how and the why we do it is what we're trying to put forth first before anything else. It's like, hey, we do this because of this. Mm-hmm. And we do this, and we tell everybody every single day, this is why we do this. And so now they're starting to understand, you saw our road show, you know what we're doing across the country. Like, we just keep talking about it. Mm-hmm. And it can be also, there was a really great article that I was reading this morning. It was ESPN's 10th anniversary magazine issue, the body issue. Mm-hmm. And it had a softball player. And she was talking about her body and how it can be very difficult because you're wanting to be this Instagram person versus the person that you actually really are. And what you don't realize is that you don't have to be this person over here that has 100,000 followers. You be you, and you'll gain 100,000 followers. Mm-hmm. So don't try to be this mirror image of what you think that you should be. Just be you.
Yeah. You know, Scott,
which is vulnerable, and a lot of people have a lot of hard time doing that. And then you question yourself on, should I post this? Mm-hmm. Should I talk about that?
You mean like posting yourself in a bikini on your Facebook post? You're talking about stuff like that?
Yeah, dude. Okay, that was a big moment for me because I don't do that often, and I didn't take the picture. Elijah and I were out swimming, and he goes, "Hey, this is a great shot. This is a great shot." I'm like, no. And he sent it back to me, and I was like, actually, that was a really great shot. Like, of course he's a talented photographer. He's gonna make me look, but it's also owning up to the fact that this is me, this is my body, and I'm gonna put that out there. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna take whatever comes back from it. But that was a big moment for me to actually put that up.
But I think you hit something on the head there earlier. Don't go out and try to get 100,000 followers. Be you, and you'll attract the right 100,000, right? Because we all know those Insta fame people that have 10,000 followers and like 20 posts. That's not legit, right?
No. Yeah. I mean, I could go buy 1,000 followers right now if I wanted to. But the issue with that is that you didn't earn them. They don't know you. Most of the time, the accounts are fake. Some of the time, you'll gain real wins from it, but they haven't found your content, and they're never going to engage with you. Mm-hmm. And if anything on social, you need engagement and conversation. Mm-hmm. So if you purchased it just for the vanity number, then it's not really going to contribute anything to your account whatsoever, other than it's going to make you feel good because you have a big, large vanity number. That's it. Right. It's all vanity.
Yeah, I mean, I can play games on my iPhone right now that actually will allow me to gain coins, and I can cash those coins in for Instagram likes and followers. Like, there's just so much BS out there that, I mean, it's ridiculous. But by being yourself online, I mean, it's authentic. Like what you said, Scott, you're going to find the right audience, like the type of people that aren't going to get on there and just beat you down all the time and about this and that and everything else that you see online, which I think is also another good reason why a lot of people are afraid to put themselves out there, is because of the criticism that you can get. But at the same time, when you are yourself, like for instance, Scott, if I talk to you right now through this podcast and then I go meet with you in person, dude, you're the same person, man. Like, I'm not like you are Scott Carson through and through. You're not trying to be some big host and you're total a-hole on the other end. Like, you are who you are.
I'm an a-hole. I'm an asshole. I'm the only asshole.
I'm like, wait a minute.
You're talking about the same Scott? No, I'm just kidding. But that's what it is that you put yourself out there, and because you've done that and you are who you are getting the right people. You're getting the people who want your content. They're interested in what you have to say. They are interested in sharing your information with their friends. And if you're not authentic and you're not actually going after the right audience, well, then you're going to end up with results that you don't enjoy.
Let's talk about authenticity, because you guys don't know this, but in the note industry, there's a few people that have been around for a while. Like I've been around for a decade. ASP's been around for 20 plus years. Donna Bowers, a lady's been around for quite a while as well, 10 plus years. Mm-hmm. And there's a few other people, then you have a lot of people that are popping up that aren't really kind of closing deals, but they're trying to be marketing or they're trying to do the things. But a lot of them aren't providing anything authentic. They're copying. You know, oh, hey, we're going to have the same guests on a webinar we're going to do, or we're going to start doing webinars, or we're going to try to start our own mastermind up. And I'm like, the lack of authenticity is going to kill these people because they're not going to really draw anything else except the low-hanging people that don't want to either pay for something, or the people, the haters out there of those others, which is fine. My haters can go somewhere else, but you know what I mean?
Like you send them to the group link. Here, try this group. It might be right for you.
But you see that. I mean, everybody, oh, hey, I'm excited. I'm going to do a podcast. Well, if you don't do it, you've got to, if you're going to start something, you got to do it, you know?
We have one client that actually has another competitor that religiously follows what we do. And we'll notice about a couple weeks later, the messaging that we had placed out, they're now putting out in their own way. Like they didn't directly copy it, but it's the exact same thing. So it's one of those deals where, you know, we have to be careful about what we are putting out there, what we are saying, because you know, it's her brand. We don't want somebody else ripping it off. And there is a point to a level where if we notice that they're doing it consistently and too much in our target area, we can actually get them for copying us. So there's copyright on our stuff. We're protected by the things that we create. It's their ownership. You don't want anybody else taking it.
Yeah. But, you know, going back to that, you know, you'll see all these, I've been a big advocate for, because, you know, when you're in the online marketing space, automatically what we get a lot is, so I want to build like a web store because this kid on, you know, this show that I just saw, they made like $100 million in 2 weeks. And I know I could do that because I have a great product, right? Well, that takes a lot. Like, yeah, you could probably make, you know, $1 million in 2 weeks, you know, or even, you know, 100 million if you really wanted to, but it took a lot to build up to that certain point. And I mean, it was something they had to consistently do, right? So when you do something like a podcast, like what you said, you have to be ready to be authentic. You have to have your own original concepts, your kind of own original story, and you have to put yourself out there, and you have to be somebody that some people can relate with. You know, so one of the hardest things that I've seen, like when you go to conferences, is I've seen these individuals that they see these very successful entrepreneurs and they're almost intimidated by them. But that person had to do the exact same thing that you're doing right now to get on that stage. And they had to be humble and go to those experts and talk with them and, you know, and basically just be authentic human beings saying, hey, I really want this opportunity. And I think, you know, especially when you're doing podcasts, you're putting content out there, being authentic with your business, who you are, why you started it, you know, the type of audience you're looking for. I mean, stuff like that is extremely important, but you have to be consistent. You have to get it out there and you have to maintain saying, hey, this is who I am. This is who I'm going to be. And I'm going to consistently deliver you this exact same content on a regular basis. I
want to go back to the, you know, we're talking about know yourself and figure out who you are and talk about that. And I want to make one thing, a distinction between talking about yourself and saying what you do. So I asked, we work with a lot of businesses, and the first thing we ask them is, who are you? And what are you trying to accomplish? Like, what is your goal? And most of the time when they answer who I am, they say what they do. I am blah, 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 that provides blah, 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 in blah, 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 to blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. Like, that doesn't give me any connection with who you are and what you're doing. Like, you just told me what you sell. You haven't told me who you are. So versus somebody saying, well, I'm a community that helps grow note closers and note investors in this market. You know, you've told me a little bit more about, well, I started this many years ago and I do this because this is my passion and this is what I love to do, versus this is who I am and what I do. There's a difference in wording that. Like, think about some of the businesses that you've come across and that you've read, and that you want to have a narrative. You want them to tell you a story, and you connect with that story of how their business was developed much more than what that little short paragraph that says what they do. So I want to be very clear in that when we're saying know thyself and create your brand and know who you are, it's not what you necessarily do. It's the story of how you got to what you're doing and what you plan on doing in the future. That makes it so much fun. So people didn't connect with us because we're a marketing agency. They connected with us because we sold everything and gave up our life to do what we're doing by helping people And on our roadshow, that's the point of Entrepreneurs Roadshow. It was meant to be engaging in one-on-one with people and really understand like why they're having problems with their marketing. Like I've had more people cry to me over marketing than anything else. I've made a few people cry, but it's getting down to the root of, what you're doing and who you are. It's difficult.
Mhm.
And I just make sure it's not tactile, like make sure it's not like I do this, and this. It's what was your story that got you there? Nobody cares that we're a marketing agency. They care about us and what we're doing with that marketing agency.
Yeah, it's like the excitement, the innovation, the technology. I know one thing that, and I've been told this actually a couple of times over the weekend. I'm a talker.
No.
Because I'm passionate about what we do, but I have I would say the worst and best thing someone could ask me is a marketing question, because I'm not afraid to kind of tear apart their business right there, and I'm not afraid to point out things that they could have done better, because the only way that I've grown is by like people like you, Scott, coming to me and saying, hey man, you could have done that better, and this is how. I'm like, damn it, okay, yeah.
And vice versa. I mean, that's the thing that when we first met, we would spend what we thought would be a 30-minute meeting to like a 2-hour meeting, just bouncing ideas and learning from it. Yeah, 3 hours, a couple times 4. But that's the beautiful thing about coming together and being open to getting better, because that's when you screw up, you don't know you screw up half the time unless somebody says, hey, you need to tweak this and make this thing a little bit better,
No, absolutely. And oh god, were you about to say something?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm listening to you.
No, and I just think that I just lost my train of thought. It's a Monday.
It gets lost in all the hair.
So be true to thy own self. Tell your story. I think it's the biggest thing in developing content.
Mm-hmm.
Identify who you are. Take some time to literally tell who you are, what your interests are. A great thing is like Tom's Shoes. They have the big cause behind buy a pair, donate a pair, That
story was their brand.
Mm-hmm.
Their brand wasn't that story. So the story precedes the brand. That's what it is.
Right. And so like I'm looking through here, I'm looking at some of the people that are watching. Like we've got let's see here, we've got Gail Villanueva. She's she's an ex-astronaut. That's what I told her. I was like, listen, hey, talk about that. You're skyrocketing, rocketing returns, talking about that. Don't be afraid to be who you are. We all know Stephanie is a big cat and lover and pet enthusiast. Don't be afraid to embrace that a little bit more. So she's working on her own podcast, Fur Babies podcast, to help kind of market some of the things that she's doing when she gets doing. But what would you say? I'm gonna ask you this question when it comes to sharing content. Yeah, you don't have to be okay. Here's something I'm sorry. Somebody just asked a question. Okay. This is the thing that drives me bonkers. It's just exactly what you said. Our buddy Brady Durr, who is the mortgage medic, that's what his name is, because the odds are not good for anyone trying to step into Scott Carson's marketing prowess. Might as well take on Coke or Pepsi a fool's errand. You don't. That's the thing. You don't have to take me on. Maybe he wasn't listening. Maybe he wasn't logged in when we first talked about this, right, Kristie and Elijah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But don't be Scott Carson. Be Brady Durr. Be Waddell Connolly. Be Clifton Sadler, right? Be Kristie Whites. Be Elijah Whites. Don't try to. You're not taking me on. Create your own message, because what I'm doing now, most people can't ever do.
That's the thing, though. So I did a lot of women's events. I was the marketing director for Texas Women in Business for 2 years. That'll teach you some stuff, being on a board for a nonprofit for 2 years. But the thing that when I was young and I was starting out is I would go into these big rooms with these amazing women and instantly feel small. And then I come home and I tell Elijah, I was just like, how does my brand in this little itty bitty fish get in this big pond of people? Like, who's going to care? I'm just another marketing agency in Austin, Texas, and there's like 80,000 of them. And he told me, nobody does what you do the way that you do it. People aren't coming to you because you're a marketing agency. They're coming to you because of you and how you work with them and what you do with them. Mm-hmm. They're buying you. They're not buying your brand. Your brand is the nice wrapping packaging that you put around it. So put a little bow around me, because most people want to consult with me. They don't want to consult with Serving Social. So I would not compare yourself to anybody else in your own market, because nobody is going to do what you do the way that you do it.
Right.
The voodoo that you do.
Well, I think that just, I mean, that right there is the same concept of just really, really kind of any innovation. I mean, the think that a product has already been developed and there's no way that you could either do it better or have something that would appeal to another audience. Maybe it's a different color. Maybe it's just, how your hand fits around. Whatever the case is, like just knowing that right there.
If that was the mentality,
yeah,
then Uber, Lyft, some of these Airbnb, all of these companies, if they thought that it was good the way that it was and that nobody else could do it better or different, then we wouldn't have this innovation that we're having. I love that you made that point.
Yeah, I mean, doing that, because like what Kristie said, we've always come into that exact same challenge of, well, they already do it really well, like, and they're right next door to me. Like, how would I compete with that? But even on National Social Media Day, I forgot who it was. Maybe it wasn't Dana. It was another woman that was on there. But she said, when somebody heard it from me, like, I was the only person that could have explained that exact same thing that they've heard 100 times. I just said it just a little bit different. That snapped and was like, oh,
it was
I got it. Allie.
It was Allie Lauder, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. But that right there is, I mean, that's huge. That's powerful. It's like, we go, some of these towns we've gone into, like what Kristie mentioned earlier, this lady asked about her brand. Like, everyone always asks me, like, tells me, like, I just need to figure out, like, my why, my why, and like why, or who I am, and da 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 da. But we even talked about this on Social Media Day. Well, you are who you are, right? Your story is the reason why you got your business started. But just by explaining that a little bit differently, she came up and she was like, I've been trying to figure out this whole logo thing because everyone keeps on telling me, like, I got to do it this one way. But I never thought about looking at it like, oh, well, who I am and the reason why I started my business. Not really like, oh, what's the brand of my business? No, I started my business to encompass these things. And so I'm going to take these things, the reasons, and that's what I'm going to build my brand out of, right? That's my narrative. That's my story. That is like the cornerstone of how this company moves forward and the organizations that we associate with.
Mm-hmm. That's a big thing for real estate entrepreneurs to realize, is that they don't have to be somebody who's closing 1,000 deals a year, because that's intimidating. They don't have to be the fortune builders. They don't have to be the home investors. They don't be the Scott Carsons. They can be John Smith. John's goal is to help America, help people stay in their homes, but also retire his ass from work, to leave his corporate job to do what he wants, to help him send his kids to college or retire his parents, or whatever that story is. Use it to embrace it, because I guarantee there's other people out there that are thinking or need the same thing. Mm-hmm. And identify with you, that can be your best cheerleaders, your best brand awareness, and your best clients, right?
Right. Well, the thing with that is that once you figure it out, keep talking about it. Mm-hmm. That's number 2. It's your content. It's continuing that narrative consistently. So what I've noticed with some of our clients is, like, I've already said that. Well, yeah, but the people that were watching last time know that. The people that are watching this time don't know that. That's why, to Elijah's point earlier, that consistency in your messaging, like, you need to introduce yourself more than once. So for example, we've done podcasts with you often, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to assume that everybody knows what Serving Social is. A majority of your audience probably does, but some of them are new. They don't know who we are. They don't know our backstory. They don't know why we're the ones talking with you every third Monday of the month. So it's just a narrative to keep consistently talking about. And it doesn't have to be the same way. It could be, so for example, you tell your full story the first time, and the next time you tell a little example of your story while you're talking about this next topic, and give them a place to go back and learn more. This is the third one, and I'll make this the big one. If you do not have a place where I can go learn more about you, I'm not going to do business with you. Yep. It just is what it is. If I met you in person and you give me a business card and I want to go see you on Facebook or see what you're doing on your website and I can't find you, I'm not going to do business with you. Mm-hmm. And the reality of that is, millennials, Gen Z, Gen Y, whatever you want to call us, that's how we do business. That's how we decide if we're going to make a purchase decision. is if, can I find you online and learn more about who you are and what you do? Sure, I can ask you that question, but it's not in our mentality to necessarily do that at a very loud networking event.
Yeah.
And all of us are so busy, we don't have time to sit down to coffee all the time. Your website, your landing page, your information gives me that.
That's the key thing about having those items out there. Yeah, a website is great, but if you don't have anything on it that talks about you or your business, people are going to find it. But the Facebook, the LinkedIn, the Twitter, the Instagrams, that's really kind of shares the story behind the story of who you are. Besides, that's who Scott Carson is, not who We Close Notes is.
Yep.
You know, that's who Kristie and Elijah are when they're out in Nashville helping somebody versus just, oh, they're posting Facebook ads for somebody, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you won't see us, like, we'll talk about our clients occasionally through our personal channels if we're using their product at that time, if it's something that we're actually doing. So like we go out to eat at the restaurants that we serve all the time, and we'll talk about that if our experience was great, you know, like we want to share those things with people, but it's not about promotion of those things either. Which, Scott, thank you for going and supporting local businesses. I saw your posting with all the sushi. But
we love Snow Pea. Who doesn't, right?
Oh man, I love it. It's the best. I believe there was like 11 sake bombs we went through when Scott surprised us one day.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
About a year ago. Yeah,
I remember dancing walking home, but it was great. Anyway, sorry about that. But going back to that whole, it could be a landing page. It doesn't have to be a full-blown website. It could be a website it could be just a Facebook page. That's you and your business, but you have to start somewhere online. And the thing with me is that I thought it needed to be perfect. I just needed to get something out there. So for the whole first year, I'm a marketing company. I'm going to own up to this. I'm a marketing company. And for the first year of my entire business, I did not have a website. That killed me. I'm sitting here wondering, like 2014, like, okay, why don't I got people coming and visiting? Why don't I have people calling me? It's because I didn't put anything out there. I was doing traditional face-to-face networking. I was hitting the pavement every single day, and I was getting business, but I wasn't getting business in the way that I could have, as much as I could have, because I didn't have that info out there. And I lost a lot of business because my presence wasn't there. They did not care if I had 100 followers or not. They just cared if I was there and they could learn more about me.
That's so huge in our niche of investing, especially real estate, because we deal with a lot of banks or asset managers or other investors out there. And one of the first things, and I see this every week, especially on LinkedIn, you know, if you got a LinkedIn profile, how many searches did you show up in? All right. Yeah. Who's looked at your profile and be like, oh, that asset manager, let me give him a phone call, you know, or I send an email blast out, suddenly, boom, LinkedIn views go up by 500 to 1,000. Like, okay, people are checking us out. They're seeing what we're doing. They see the story and they drop me an email, or they connect in return, which is what we want to share that. But that's the same thing. Is if you know where your audience is at, you know, like if it's a higher level audience, you're looking for CEOs or high end, you want to be on LinkedIn or Twitter because that's where they spend the majority of your time. If you're looking more for like a personal story or to get the word out more, so Facebook's better for that, along with Instagram, right?
Well, that's a misconception with some of these social networks, is that they think that I'm going to be on Facebook, I'm going to start a business channel, and I'm going to get all of these leads and sales. That's not what social media is for. If you think that it's going to be lead gen and sales, then think again. It's not that. It's your supporting narrative. It's your supporting content that leads to your sale. Social media is what allows them to connect with you to make that final purchase. If they're going to go to your website and purchase it, then they're going to do it with or without your social media. Your social media helps you do that. So that's the thing where we have some people coming to us going, hey, so I want to start a Facebook page. I want to do this much content of it. And so how many leads can I expect to get from that? I'm like, none. Absolutely none. Because you need a lead gen. You need a funnel set up with a landing page. Like, the mixture of all this marketing melting pot, people aren't really figuring out like the actuality of what each thing can give you. And they just naturally assume, oh, I can make money from social media and I'm going to get all of these leads. I just got to put stuff into it. It's like, no, You can run ads and you'll get and have a lead gen funnel that allows you to get the sale, because that's what you should be doing. And then you should be supporting everything else on your account, because it's a long game. How long would you say, Scott, were you running your channels before you started like seeing people coming in and converting?
Oh, at least over a year.
Yeah.
At least over a year. It was actually funny. And we can thank Kurt Malley, who was a speaker on National Social Media Day, the guy that got booted off of Facebook for 888 days.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 years ago, literally almost a year ago, I mean, not a year ago, 10 years ago, I didn't have money, was going through divorce, had some bad, I was literally like the bottom of the valley, and I was like, what can I do? Let me just start posting pictures of these assets, posting pictures of properties, talking about what I'm working on, literally doing it consistently. And then some guru reached out to somebody and said, hey, who in here knows somebody who's doing note deals or buying distressed debt? And Kurt knew me, being local and being friends on Facebook. And he's like, well, hey, you need to reach out to my friend Scott Carson. All right. So then this guy reaches out to me through Kurt and says, hey, I see you're doing these deals. We want to fly you out to LA or Orlando and put you on stage in front of everybody to talk about your deals that you're doing. I'm like, you're going to pay me to fly out? I'm like, sweet. You know, good, because I can't afford the airfare.
Entrepreneurship.
Yeah, exactly. So I go out and I'm on stage. They give me a half hour on stage during a lunch break as they give people boxed lunches. But they're literally just giving me to talk about the note business. And I get bombarded with like 200 people at the end. And like, hey, do you teach a class? I'm like, yeah, I teach a class. Sure. Let's just make something up.
You're like, I do now.
I do now. Man, here's my card. Here's my email. And that one, just doing consistently is that was a thing that introduction from somebody on social media. That's the big thing I keep telling people. You never know who's going to refer you out, but if you don't post anything, you don't share your deals that you're working on or the deals that you're closing, the only thing you guarantee by not posting or on a consistent basis is the only thing you guarantee is failure, right?
Yep. Failure to plan is planning to fail.
Mm-hmm.
So I want people to think about social media like this. So social media is the modern networking event. Mm-hmm. And when you go in there, you automatically start talking to people. That's what you should be doing here. Now, your postings are when somebody asks you, what's going on in your world? What exciting things have been happening? Those are your postings. Mm-hmm. What things do you need them to know? Those are your postings. But it's about engaging in a conversation. So we want people to comment. We want to be commenting back to people. There's the other thing that has been missed is people get content out, but they don't talk to a single person. You want people to talk to you, you got to talk to them. That's how it works.
Yeah, it blows my mind. I see some of these really great pieces of content out there. And these are from small local businesses. And then they'll have like a couple people get on there, and take in mind, like some of these comments could just be other companies trying to get engagement out. So they'll just jump up there and they'll say, awesome stuff, couple little firecracker emojis and a heart, right? Fantastic. No big deal. Okay. But if somebody does that, reply to them. Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, this is pretty awesome. The one thing that I thought was the coolest part of all of this is, and then you lay it out. So now you're continuing on the conversation, and you're giving additional talking points, hoping to engage with additional users that would maybe reply to that again and be like, yeah, I love that part too, or whatever the case is. But every time somebody comments, respond to that. Ask people to comment, like, hey, let's talk about this in the comments section and let's keep the conversation going. Because just remember that every piece of content that you put out there, that you want to get the maximum value out of that. And the more engagement you have on that post, the more Google is going to continue to push it up the ladder. And you'll see that, hey, I had 20 comments on this post. Well, here it is a week later, and people are still commenting on that same post.
It's visibility. So even Facebook came out and said, the more engagement and comments that you get on a single posting, the more priority it's going to get in placement in a timeline. So on the postings where I've had tons of people it doesn't get as much exposure. On the postings where I've had tons of people comment, I keep noticing more and more comments rolling in throughout the weeks because it's getting priority placement. Mm-hmm. And that's just that's the network telling you exactly what you need. So I taught a course a couple years ago on like the 40 different ways to engage on social media. And one woman took it and ran with it. So she took one concept of ask a question. So she took the concept of asking a question and she turned it into asking a question every single day. And it was through her personal channel. She put it to a nice graphic background and she'd ask a simple question. Is it ketchup or mustard? And she would just let me, seriously, simple questions like that.
Cowboy hats or baseball caps?
Exactly. So she would ask these questions every single day, and tons of people are like, oh, French fries. And here's why. Like, I caught myself even engaging with them. But now her channels from those everybody came for that question every single day. She's going to ask something. But I came to read the comments because I'm curious to know how people answer or respond to things. And then I chime in with it too. So she created a conversation that then allowed her to post her other elements of here's who I am and what I'm doing in my business. Here's what I'm doing here. That got additional exposure because she was using the network in a way that engaged. And she still asks the questions every single day. I haven't looked at what her one is today, but I mean, they're really silly and out there and I love them.
That's
like white chocolate or dark chocolate.
That's really fun. I mean, you know, any kind of thought-provoking, anything that you can do to kind of provoke that thought, you know, questions are really good. You know, talking about a cause, you know, you see this with Steph, you know, she's talking about the journey that she's going on with these cats, and you have people coming in like, oh my gosh, like, you know, this is great, or da da da. And so she has all these people commenting on it because it's things that they relate with, right? She knows that audience, she's going after it. But I mean, it's good stuff. It keeps people in the loop. But that's also another thing too, is that, you know, sharing stuff like that may not pertain directly to your business, or talking about things that maybe is not, oh, well, if I post that, that's not going to result in a direct sale. Well, that's not going to, you know, do this, and this. Well, just think about your friends, right? If you walked around and you just all the time tried to sell to your friends, you got in this.
Buy my stuff. Buy my stuff.
Yeah. Or it's like, hey, man, I got this new thing we're doing. It's these pills that, you know, they do all these great things, and, you know, and I can get you signed up underneath me, and then you can get somebody signed up underneath you, and we'll all make millions of dollars, right? The guy that brought me in, he's doing 7 figures easy, okay?
Again, triangle, yes, exactly, that's right. Triangle method.
So, but by
I'm going to show him this one. So this is, if you can see it, I'm going to move it closer. I don't know. This was her question on Friday.
What kind of music should you listen to while fishing? Something catchy.
Yeah, so she got 6 comments, 3 shares, 17 interactions on that. And then she turned around and asked, question of the day, soccer, yes or no? 14 comments on this. Some of these range more, but she just consistently asks that every single day. Something fun, something out there. So she asked the soccer question because we have the World Cup that was happening. So she was all about, she was hopping on trends too. And yeah, the whole pyramid thing.
Well, no, what I was saying is that as you post content like that, it gets that engagement. So when you do actually come in with that one sale piece, that one piece that you're really trying to funnel them back to your landing page or your website where they can find out more information, they're going to be a little more acceptable to that, because they haven't just been seeing the same, buy this, hey, this is what we got in store, this is what we got. Like, there's a time and place for all that. Newsletters are really great for that, you know, being able to kind of remarket people, you know, doing your ads, stuff like that. But being able to just engage people and get them interacting with you, and then touch on those sales and really try to see who's actually interested, you'll probably have a way warmer response from your audience compared to, I just lost 100 followers. What happened? Well, they got tired of your shit, and they didn't want to take it anymore.
They got tired of your shit.
They don't want the voodoo that you do. They don't like it.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you lose followers. And keep in mind, like, as you change and morph, your content's going to change and morph. How you speak is going to change. Like, serving social has changed a lot over the last 5 years. Yeah. So it's what we first thought we're not now. And that's okay. But we made sure to change the narrative along the way and let people know what's happening. So you can change along with your business and speak differently and put in different pieces of content, as long as you're not alienating the fact that you're supposed to be having a conversation and you're not selling to these people. So it's not about don't ever sell your stuff, but if you're always making a posting that has a sale link going back to, want to learn more? Go here. Want to learn more? Buy here. Register here. Like, I'm going to stop listening. I'm going to stop reading.
That's really, I think you see a lot of that happening with like the new Instagram stories or Instagram. People that aren't posting things, it's always something about, hey, sign up for my workshop or sign up for this. And I'm like, nobody wants to see you in front of your fake Lamborghini, or, your fakeness. Just be yourself. Huh? I'm talking about you.
I'm going to have to return that Lamborghini now.
You were renting it anyway. No. Or the girls that you walk down the aisle that are obviously pros, and we're not talking professionals. We're talking about something else. But we got a couple questions here. Some comments here. Steph says, this is like we were discussing last night between flights. In the note business and really within many business spheres and communities, the information would be the same from a qualified standard, but the delivery, perspective, and personality of the person or persons getting it out there is what makes the difference. Their why gives them the different perspective on those topics and a keen interest in ways to help people within those realms. It's not just about copying your neighbor and regurgitating information and leaving it at that.
Yeah, thank you, Steph.
It's like spot on.
Well, it's like, I'm a marketer and I post these things. It's not going to be the same thing as another marketer friend of mine. She posts completely different stuff. How I talk about Facebook is not how she talks about Facebook. She'll tell you something different. But if it was what Ellie said, every person needs to hear it differently.
Yeah.
And that person is going to connect with how you said it more than how this other person said it. So it's just all finding like-minded people, literally, that speak your language.
Right. Exactly. Brady Durr says, I've kicked myself every time I don't leave with an open-ended question to invoke a conversation in social media. It's about the conversation.
It is about the conversation. Facebook said it's about the conversation. Twitter said it's about the conversation. Google said it's about the conversation. Like, you think you might need to have one, maybe?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, I doubt most people could probably even follow him. I follow a guy named Cord Shiflett here in Austin, and he's multi-million-dollar realtor, sells homes, sells huge homes. I just read this whole story about how he does daddy kid days, right? And he picks a day, takes his kids, flew his kid out to Legoland. Of course, he has the money to do that type of stuff. But if you watch his posts, he sits there and he talks about himself and his family and what they do on a regular basis. And then out of nowhere, he'll come out with this $1 million listing and, oh yeah, this brand new house just and 100 comments, tons and tons of likes and stuff like that. Like, he's really engaging, finding those people who are interested in who he is as an individual, a very wealthy, successful realtor, and then turning around and dropping those little houses every now and then. But for the majority of it, it's all about him, his lifestyle on a regular basis, and then he does the sales. So
we connected with Cord because he started posting about what he was doing. He was being a Lyft driver, an Uber driver. And he would pick up the people that would pay for the lowest fare. Like, you have levels of how you do cars. You can get a premium car, you can get a lower fare car. So he would pick up people in the lower fare cars in his Bentley. And these people were freaking out because you have somebody who's expecting a cheap ride. They just need to get to work, and a Bentley's pulling up and picking them up. And he would just use it and do that with it. And I'm sitting here like, this is a pretty cool dude. So I connected with him, and so did Elijah. And the next thing you know, then we realized he's a realtor. Like, we had no idea.
But yeah, no, I mean, just that type of content and showing how he puts himself out there like that, I think is a great example. And not saying like if your life isn't as exciting as a millionaire, like, that's okay. Because there's a lot of people out there that don't have $1 million and won't get close to that, but being able to just share your journey, your adventure, and then talk about how you make a living, I think is really, really powerful and can really change like the tides of a business, because remember, as a business, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you on that, Scott, but as a business owner, you are the CEO, you are the owner, you are the influence of your business. Scott Carson is the influence of We Close Notes. Like, people trust Scott, so therefore they trust We Close Notes. So, putting yourself out there and then showing how you work inside your business, I mean, it can really, really be a powerful piece for yourself.
I totally agree. So I'll give you an example. That's what this whole last weekend was about. We did this whole The Note Roadshow, and I put out some teasers throughout the week that, hey, would you be interested if somebody showed up in a market and started looking at assets? Well, Steph can vouch. I literally came up for this like last Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We had talked about doing this for Ohio before we flew out for an event in Ohio. I was like, I can't wait that long. I can't wait a month to do this. I want to do it now. All right. So I did that. I said, okay. Then I reached out to asset managers here to find assets. Because one of the biggest things that drives me bonkers is when people say, oh, I can't find deals. There's no good stuff out there. There's nothing in my market. I'm going to pick two of the markets that a lot of people are investing in. And so literally I found roughly 50 assets in Michigan.
Wow.
Actually, there was a lot more. I could only really get to 50 though. I mean, I literally found over 100 assets, but 50 were along my triangle basically to hit in 3 days. I could still be there looking at assets the next 3 days if I wanted to do these one-off flyers. So that's what we did. We flew in, we chartered it off, and we just started driving by. And we did a Facebook Live video on Friday, Saturday. And then as we drove by the properties, we took a picture, put the picture in the comments, asset 101, asset 102. And then we did a short, like I think the longest one was 3 minutes, or maybe one I got long-winded, as Steph like to say. It was 5 minutes, a little video that we uploaded as a comment there. So you got 2 days of videos with pictures and us talking about the asset. Literally, okay? Friday, we had 272 views. Saturday, over 500, 550, maybe almost 600, I think is what it's up to now. But people started reaching out. We had realtors reach out. Hey, I'm in that neck of the woods. You need me to pull comps? Or a friend of mine, hey, you're coming to my town. Please come by the office. We'll help you pull comps on every Detroit asset. Okay? People reaching out. I want to buy that asset. Or, hey, I want to fund that asset. Or I've got money to do deals, stuff with. Tell me more about what you're doing. But we just put it on the line. Like, listen, here's how you do. Not very hard to do. All the marketing came from a cell phone.
Yeah.
It just.
So.
See, but that's the thing. If they don't know about it and you don't tell them, how are they ever going to know that the opportunity is there? So you presented them with the information in a channel that they could potentially engage on, and allowed it to kind of develop from there. Your intention was to just showcase the content and get out there and do this and see what comes from it. So I think that that's great, because again, you don't know what you don't know.
Well,
no, we're going to end up buying a big chunk of them. I mean, 13, 14 of the assets were stuff that was already in my portfolio that I drove by. A couple I know that I got to put into rehabs. A couple are occupied, so we're going to expedite that with the attorney stuff. And a lot of them we're making bids on, so give us a deal. But it's just we got the message out to our audience. Here's where we're at. Here's what we're doing.
So
see the power of this smartphone. I'm gonna tell you.
I was gonna say the last thing I'd definitely like to touch on is technology. If you have not upgraded your tech, it's time to. Like, you're missing out on deals. I don't know how many times I've had somebody like, hey, you just gotta take really good photos, and you could really get your products out in your store. Like, well, I don't have a camera. Well, go buy a camera. Like, this. I mean, you buy stuff. Okay, it's kind of like this, how I see it. You are losing money if you do not have the right tools and resources to make what you are trying to do, whether it's your marketing, it's your day-to-day operations with your business, it's your finances, whatever it is. If you don't have the right tools and resources, you are losing money. You're losing money on the opportunity, you're losing money on the time, and you're wasting your time. And honestly, as business owners, I don't have a lot of time. Like, that's the one thing that I covet the most is my time, because I'm already strapped for it in the first place. So if you are not upgrading your phone, if you're still using something old, if you need a DSLR because you have a couple hundred products inside your store, go out and spend $1,000 on a camera, or go buy a badass phone that you can utilize.
You don't even have to buy this thing. You can lease them from Apple for $56 a month. $56. I shoot in 4K video. I have unlimited space on this thing that instantly uploads to the cloud. And you know how many apps that I can buy for $199 that edit all of my videos for me and make them look pretty? Like, it's next to nothing. Like, when we first started the business, we dropped thousands into camera equiment, lighting equipment. Like, it's all obsolete now because my phone can do it better.
Yeah, and so I mean, a lot of this stuff is easy things that you could probably get off Amazon. If you're going to be doing like podcasts and stuff, you can get really nice lighting sets that are very easy to use. It doesn't take it's not rocket science to get it, but technology is so important for your business these days. And if you're not investing into new technology, more of a streamlined way to produce your content, to take videos, to take photos, anything like that, I mean, you're really just kind of screwing yourself over. And I think that's something that, you know, it doesn't have to be we got to drop $10,000 like what Kristie said. You could find that one deal. You could just find the camera that works for you, or the video camera that works for you there. But even then, there's services like Epic.video. You know, they do stuff where, you know, you send them a bunch of 20-second clips and they'll just start branding. They'll brand a really solid template for your company. And then they will just basically be able to start sending you really quality videos from the video content you sent them. So you don't even have to worry about being some kind of fancy editor or learning a whole new skill in editing. Just shoot that video. And there are so many resources out there to do it, but it has to start with the technology to make sure you can shoot the video in good enough quality in the first place. Because remember, when it comes down to video, visual is one thing, but audio is really important. If I'm looking at a video and I can't hear it, or I don't see the subtitles, there's a good chance that I don't want to watch it because I don't understand what I'm looking at. And well, I think most people like to understand what's going on when they're looking in a direction, right? Yep. So with that, get better technology, and if you already have that technology, just start using it.
And it doesn't have to be expensive. So we lease the smartphones from Apple. We get free upgrades. We get priority upgrade actually. When the new phone comes out, we can go trade our phone in and we still pay the same amount of money.
Wow.
So we lease them until we buy them, basically is what it is. So, and then what I did is I went out.
These phones forever.
We pay for these phones right now. You actually don't. Which is great, because if you don't have the $1,400 up front to buy it, the $52 a month, it's an extra expense. It's what it is. And then I went out and I spent $32 and I bought a selfie stick. I know, right? Selfie sticks. This one's a little bit different. You connect your camera to it. It has a tripod at the bottom. So I set this thing up. It has a remote so I can start and stop my video. It came with a light that I attached to the top of my smartphone, like a halo. And it came with a camera that I attached, or a microphone, thank you, that I attached to this. So now I have lighting, audio, I have a wireless Bluetooth control, and I have a full tripod and a lavalier mic that I spent, what, $32 on, plus the cost of the phone. Amazon, man, Amazon.
You're going to need to send me the link for that, because I'm probably going to order a bunch of those. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it is really cool. But, you know, easy, like just kind of, you know, technology like that is really easy to get, you know, real easy to get. And, you know, once you get that, you got the good lighting, you got some good audio. I mean, at that point in time, you really see the difference in your type of video work that you can put out there.
It's the quality of any of your content. So if people couldn't hear us right now, or if we didn't have good visuals right now, people wouldn't be watching this. Just
That's correct. Because Elijah went through a little bit of a thing 3 weeks ago when we were doing the National Social Media Day. Maybe the look on his face, because we basically narrowed it down to basically 3 webcams, right?
Yeah.
You brought in a lot of great stuff. I'm like, man, that's awesome, but we don't need that for what we did, right?
Right.
But
we brought in too much, and then realized it could be very simplified with just a few pieces of equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And my $250 laptop I bought at Walmart because mine broke. Like that thing, we did that thing for 27 hours on this little laptop. Like it doesn't matter the how much the equipment was, as long as it gives you the quality that you need.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We actually did a shoot with one of our influencers. So we do influencer marketing with some of our clients, and you know, I just like that, Scott. I brought tons of equipment, cases, and everything. We're doing multiple locations. And every time we did one location, another box got dropped. Like something else got put away. You know, by the time we got to the end, it was literally, we just had the camera. Like there was no lighting.
We shot a 12 hours worth of shooting with 2 iPhone 10s, and a what was it? The gimbal.
Yeah, just the Steadicam.
The Steadicam little deal that we purchased, and that was it. That's what we had by the end of it.
Yeah. Yep. And the quality we got out, it was just phenomenal, you know. But you know, and honestly, the equipment that we used, out of all the stuff, the tens of thousands of dollars that we have spent, like this was stuff that probably
Under $500.
Yeah, under 500 for all of it. And, here we are. I mean, we're, again, shooting some amazing content, amazing quality. So,
but that allows you to take the money that you would have put, because equipment depreciates quickly. Like they'll tell you, like if you want to get a loan, like equipment's not something that you want to get a loan for unless it's machinery, right? So it's one of those deals where if we can minimize the cost of our equipment, we can maximize how much we're putting into creating our content, what types of content, editing, post-production. That budget then can get reallocated into the things that are most important versus spending it on the actual product you're trying to film with.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So
that's good stuff. We could sit here and talk all day about this, but I know you've got things to do it. All day. Let's do a quick little recap.
Yep.
First of all, it's all about content, right? Creating content, knowing well, first of all, knowing who you are.
Yes.
Knowing who you are, creating the content about yourself and your story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sharing it consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Sharing it consistently. And then what else? Should we say having the right, what was it, Kristie?
Technology.
Having the right cheap and usable technology, right?
Yeah, just having the right tools and resources to actually facilitate the type of content that you're creating. I mean, if you're creating a lot of graphic machine photos, just have something that takes those good photos.
Totally does. And Brady Dirt mentions something again. He goes, "Hey, few guests had the sound and video quality of the relative of Scott and Ryan Harper at Propolio." I love Ryan Harper. Harper is a buddy of mine. Ryan, I go back. He's got a big studio in Dallas that we thought about actually using.
Yeah.
Social media day. And I realized it's too much. It's way too many things that could go wrong when you have way too much stuff, technology. Let's keep it simple.
Yep.
And that's the big thing. I love Ryan. They do some really cool stuff, really great stuff. You walk in there, but hey, sometimes keep it simple, silly. And I think we've mentioned something earlier on. Kristie's big aha in the last few months. Delivered is better than perfect, right?
Yes. I think that's been my lesson learned for the last 5 years, actually. But I would agree.
Awesome. Well, hey guys, thank you so much for joining us here on this special Monday, Marketing Monday, and this will be a regular thing we have at least once a month because it's just great stuff to get out there to everybody. Thank you for all those that are watching. Guys, how do they get a hold of you? For those that are listening on iTunes and Stitcher and all the podcast platforms or watching the replay on video, how do they get a hold of you guys?
Simple. ServingSocial.com. You can find all the information you need on us there. Lead by example, right?
Exactly. Serving social, not servicing social, because I constantly type in servicing social.
Believe me, like
we get social services too.
Yeah, we got a lot of people calling us lots of different things. But you know what? ServingSocial.com, pretty easy.
Yep. So
that's good stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Scott, for having us on.
Hey, thanks, guys. You guys have a great day. And like I said, if it does get too hot in that tin can, you're more than welcome. Come on over here to the offices. We'll make room for you. All righty?
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks,
guys. See you guys later.
All right.
Bye.
All right, everybody. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Note Closer Show. As always, we're always glad to hear what you guys are looking for, what questions you have. Feel free to comment. Check out those guys, Kristie and Elijah. You can find them on Facebook under their own personal Facebooks or Serving Social on Facebook, along with ServingSocial.com. Just great stuff. Love those guys. Just do a great job. And they'll be one of the speakers at our upcoming Note Camp 6.0 for Note Labs, actually. So one of the great things that we're working on here for Note Camp 6.0 in literally just over, I think, 6 weeks. God, it's hard to believe that. No, yes. The days of Note Camp 6.0 is September 27th through the 30th. That's a Thursday through Sunday, and we're doing something different this time around. We'll have our regular lineup of speakers, providing great quality content, but also on one track, we're going to turn it into a lab side of things. What I mean by that, we're going to have consistently like 2 to 3 hour sessions, deep dives into specific subject matter, specific things that you guys are looking to have. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't signed up, you can go to the website, notecamp.com, I believe is it. All right, make sure the website's right. Just go to my weclosenotes.com and sign up there for the early bird tickets. Otherwise, have a great day, everybody. Go out and make something happen, and we'll see you all at the top, everybody. Bye.